Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, today we are taking on a massive, honestly mind-bending thought experiment. What if human beings simply stopped dying? Just imagine a world where the clock keeps ticking, but our bodies just don't give out. This one hypothetical scenario would completely change everything we know about life, from how we spend our Tuesday afternoons to the ultimate fate of our entire planet. Seriously, what if we just never died? I want you to literally picture a reality with absolutely no end. No ticking clock, no final curtain. The stakes of this question are enormous. And before we pull the thread on this idea, we have to recognize that the ripple effects would touch every single aspect of our existence. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Defining the infinite life. 2. The psychological reality. 3. Society and the economy. 4. Crises and scientific leaps. And 5, gift or a burden. So, kicking things off with Section 1, defining the infinite life. To get us all on the same page, we need a baseline definition. For the sake of this explainer, immortality means a biological state of existence with zero aging and zero natural death. Basically, you stay physically in your prime. You don't naturally degrade, you can't die of old age, and you're immune to standard natural diseases. We're completely removing the biological expiration date, which, as you'll see, forces us to rethink everything. And man, the immediate effect this rule change has on the human mind is wild. The second you remove the fear of death, your entire perspective flips. Your personal decisions, your appetite for risk, they change overnight. If you have an infinite runway, you aren't rushing to hit those arbitrary milestones by age 30 or 40. Your focus violently shifts. You start engaging in extreme long-term thinking. We're talking planning your life not in decades, but literally in centuries. Which brings us inward to Section 2, the psychological reality. Now, at first, that utopian dream kicks in, right? Immediate excitement, no fear. You've got limitless time to finally learn 6 languages, you travel the globe. But that eventually clashes with a pretty grim psychological reality. See, our brains just aren't built to process eternity. Over centuries, you're looking at severe mental fatigue and this deep, inescapable boredom. Really, how many times can you completely reinvent yourself before you feel like you've just seen and done it all? And that brings an immense emotional weight, leading to a very real threat, an absolute loss of motivation. Think about it. Deadlines, the scarcity of time, that is exactly what drives human ambition. If time is no longer a precious, scarce resource, why do anything today when you literally have tomorrow and the next million tomorrows to get it done? Let's zoom out to the macro level. Section 3, society and the economy. And this brilliantly illustrates a terrifying new economic life cycle. Step 1, jobs become incredibly limited. I mean, if nobody ages, nobody retires. A CEO of a massive company could stay the CEO for 400 years, which leads right into Step 2. Wealth accumulation over centuries. The people at the top just keep compounding their wealth and assets indefinitely. And that creates Step 3, slower or frankly completely blocked opportunities for new generations. Upward mobility would practically grind to a halt because all the top spots are permanently occupied. But beyond money, our very social fabric would completely unravel and reweave itself. Fundamental human concepts like marriage would be forced to change. Does "till death do us part" actually work if you're realistically going to live for 10,000 years? Family dynamics would feature dozens of generations all alive at the exact same time. The overall value we place on time decreases, and our long-held cultural traditions and belief systems, a lot of which are anchored around mortality and the afterlife, they'd be forced to drastically evolve. Zooming out even further now to the planetary level. Section 4, crises and scientific leaps. On the upside, we'd see an absolute explosion of scientific growth. Just imagine a brilliant scientist having 300 uninterrupted years to work on a single complex theory. We'd see a massive accumulation of knowledge, insanely fast innovation, and deep space exploration would suddenly become super realistic, mostly because long travel times wouldn't matter to immortal astronauts. But this is weighed against some severe risks, staggering environmental damage, and, as we just talked about, an era of extreme inequality where the immortal ultra-rich control practically everything on Earth. Actually, the most terrifying logistical nightmare here is the population crisis. Think about it. If birth rates continue but the death rate drops to 0, we face continuous explosive population growth. This would put extreme, unbearable pressure on the Earth's resources: food, physical living space, clean water, energy.
Ultimately, just to survive as a species, society would be forced to implement incredibly strict population control. You might only be allowed to have a child if someone else voluntarily gives up their immortality.
Which brings us to our final section. Section 5, gift or a burden. It's the ultimate trade-off. On one hand, the benefits, infinite knowledge, limitless time to perfect our passions, and totally unprecedented technological progress. But we are actively trading all of that for the drawbacks, crushing planetary pressure, systemic societal imbalance, and the very real potential loss of the meaning of life itself. So, is immortality truly a gift or a burden? I want you to actively reflect on this, based on everything we've looked at today, the endless boredom and the resource wars, weighed against incredible space travel and centuries of continuous learning. Is an endless life a dream, or is it actually a nightmare? This leads us to a pretty profound final insight, reflecting on the importance of a limited life. In basic economics, value is derived from scarcity. Well, perhaps the exact same is true for human existence. The very limitations of our lifespan, the fact that the clock is relentlessly ticking, might be exactly what gives time, and life itself, its immense, beautiful value. It's what motivates us to fall in love, to build legacies, to just appreciate a sunset, knowing we only get to see so many of them. So, after laying all the facts, the psychological theories, and the harsh economic realities out on the table, I'm going to leave you with this provocative final question to ponder. If you were offered the pill right now, fully knowing the societal consequences and the heavy psychological weight we just explored, would you choose to live forever? Thanks so much for exploring this with me today. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.